So, welcome everyone to this webinar on building cyber resiliency for enterprise businesses. My name's James, and I'm the backup products manager here at Synology UK. Now, there's actually a number of kind of associations that go with Synology. So, first and foremost is obviously data storage, but probably the bigger one, and the one we obviously want to focus on today, is data protection. Now, because of this association, it means that we are trusted by over 50% of the Fortune 500 companies. And in 2024, we're recognized by Gartner Peer Insights with a 99% recommendation rate in the backup and recovery software aspect. Now, because of this, we've been kind of trying to build up a really effective cyber resiliency structure or plan. We've kind of whittled it down to three key ideas. So first and foremost, we need to be fast, we need to be visible, and we need to be available. Now, we'll cover a little bit more in each of these in a minute. But if we take a little bit more of an in-depth look at the solution as a whole, there's a few more kind of aspects we need to think about. So obviously fast backup and restoration, data durability, but we'll take it one step at a time. So fast backup, we obviously need to be taking the backups quickly. We need to then verify those backups, and we need to then provide recovery drills, which will then allow us to do instant restoration. We need to think about data durability. So not only is the data going onto the device, but also that it's going to be available and easy and ready for us to use in 3, 5, 7 years down the road. And then we also need to look at the management and maintenance of not only the backups, but the whole backup infrastructure as one. And then we also need to look at the system security as well. So meaning that the users that need to access certain aspects of the backup solution can do so, and no one has complete access to everything. And so Active Backup is a really, really good tool. However, it doesn't quite cover every single one of these kind of key ideas. And so today, we're going to be looking at the ActiveProtect data protection appliances. Now, this is a new range of systems that have taken a lot of the learnings that we've had with Active Backup and DSM, but it's taken it to the next level, bringing everything into a wholly kind of optimized solution. And so we'll look at how ActiveProtect can help build out this backup strategy going forwards. We'll start with the fast backup and the other aspects that will allow us to help restore when we need to. But before we do that, we also need to make sure we can protect all of the platforms that we use on a day-to-day basis. So our cloud platforms like Microsoft 365, our infrastructure like Hyper-V, VMware, our PCs that we use on a day-to-day basis, Windows and Mac, and also those databases that we also interact with all the time, like Oracle and Microsoft SQL. Now, being able to back up these all onto one platform is the first kind of step. The next step is then actually what we do with that data. Well, Active Backup has always had data deduplication, but ActiveProtect takes it one step further, moving that deduplication to the primary or to the source side rather than the server side. So this means that not only you cut down on the amount of data that's being stored on the ActiveProtect device, but you also cut down on the amount of data that's being transferred across the network. Now, a really good use case or example of this was actually Tampere Vocational College over in Finland. They are helping test or have been helping to test an ActiveProtect device over the last few months. And with their existing SA range NAS, they were doing a backup every single day. And with ActiveProtect, because of the reduction in network traffic, they were actually able to now move to a continuous backup strategy, meaning that as soon as a change gets made, it's automatically backed up onto the ActiveProtect device. And this is possible because of the huge reduction in network traffic that's obviously being pulled onto the ActiveProtect system. Doesn't just stop there, though. We've also then got cross-site deduplication as well, meaning that not only are we cutting down the amount of data that's being transferred on the local site, but also across the internet to multiple other sites as well. And this allows us to effectively save over 50% of the storage space across the whole solution. The other side that we also need to think about is obviously the guaranteed recoverability. So with data self-healing, such as BTRFS checksumming, RAID incorporation, we need to think about backup verification. So making sure that the backups that are being taken are actually being taken completely and they are something we can restore from. And then, of course, the other aspect that is hugely looked over is the recovery testing. So not only making sure that you can recover when you need to, but the whole of the IT team knows how to do so when it's needed, meaning that you can get up and running as soon as possible when you need it. Of course, restoration comes in many different kind of types. So we've got file first restoration, allowing you to recover files or folders onto each system. We've got instant restoration to Hyper-V and VMware. And we've also got complete system restoration onto the ActiveProtect device, allowing critical key infrastructure to be spun up and running as soon as it's needed. The second level that we also need to look at is the data durability. So what goes into making an effective backup strategy? We need a 3-2-1 style backup. So having 3 copies of your data on at least 2 different media, and one of those being held off-site. We'll actually come into the 3-2-1-1-0 a little bit later, but if we're looking at the multiple copies of those backups, we actually allow backup copies to be brought into the backup management, the software management level on ActiveProtect, meaning that it's a lot easier, a lot simpler to be able to manage and control that data flow from ActiveProtect devices. This is amplified with client-side encryption and worm storage, allowing native immutability. Now, with traditional backup solutions, you might have immutability across the whole system, which means that it's kind of a one-size-fits-all in terms of the immutability period. Maybe some things need to be longer, some things need to be smaller. Well, with ActiveProtect, you can strategically tier the immutability depending on the plan that is backing up each bit of data. So you can make sure the immutability is correct for the data that's being taken. Another aspect is obviously the management and maintenance. So with ActiveProtect, we bring every single bit of management into a single portal. So being able to control everything from the backup frequency, the schedule, the data retention policy across all the different platforms, and also including the auto protection into simple and easy to use plans built into the primary ActiveProtect device, allows everything to be controlled that bit easier. But it's not just the software aspects that need to be controlled. What happens if we've got multiple systems that go into an ActiveProtect infrastructure? Well, we also include a single interface for multiple servers. So from a single central ActiveProtect node, you can protect all of your ActiveProtect backup appliances across the whole infrastructure. And you can also take it one step further and include all of your active backup for business NAS systems too, allowing central IT to control the backups and make sure everyone is adhering to the company policies. But how big can you grow? Well, with 2,500 nodes as the top level size of the cluster and over 150,000 endpoint devices, there's we can accommodate a number of different size infrastructures. The last bit is obviously the system security as well, making sure that only the users that need to access bits of data can access that data and no further. So there's a number of different tiers that go into this, but we'll start with user delegation and authorization. Well, we need to actually integrate with Active Direct and LDAP to be able to control the accessibility of who needs access to the data, but then also through that to be able to control which data and roles they might need to perform. So let's take an example. If you've got an infrastructure team, they might need to have the complete system management, so the storage, hardware configuration, the networking. However, if you've got a backup team, they'll obviously need to control all the backup software aspects, the protection plan, the backup plan, restoration of any data. But you might actually also want to give that restoration of personal data to the employee themselves, allowing self-restoration, but no access to anything else on the system. And of course, should you need to do an audit of this, then an auditor will obviously need to have access to all the logs on that system. We can then take this security one level further with logical isolation. So kind of talking about that 32110, making sure that there is one copy being held offline at any one time. Being able to control the access of different devices onto the ActiveProtect systems means that we can achieve that complete offline backup. Primarily, this can be done through IP blocking. So maybe you've got a central node that's then being backed up to by site B and C. Maybe site B will only have access to backup at 2 o'clock in the morning, and site C will only have access to backup at 3 o'clock in the morning. But outside of those times, all other IP addresses are blocked. But it doesn't also just kind of stop there. There's also then the physical isolation. So again, this is something we've had with traditional DSM, having hardware schedules, power schedules. But bringing this into the backup software itself means that you can control everything in accordance with other things going on the device, and allows you to do network port switching off as well. So you don't have to wait for the entire system to maybe shut down and reboot every time you want to go through one of these schedules. And so that kind of controls the flow of access to the systems, from the authorization of which users can't actually access the device, the user delegation, logical, and then physical isolation as well. And that kind of completes that, how we build that kind of 4-level backup protection strategy. But there's also kind of another aspect that we really need to think about as well, and that is, of course, the procurement, the setup, and the maintenance. So if we break these down into 3 key steps, we'll start with procurement. And that, with ActiveProtect, instead of having, potentially 30 different NAS with, infinite number of configurations of hard drives and everything else that might need to go into it, and then choosing the RAID configuration, the file system that goes onto it. With ActiveProtect, there are 3 systems currently. There are another 2 coming, but at launch, we've got these 3 devices. And these are all pre-configured with, as you can see, the amount of capacities on screen. But also the configuration of those systems is pre-configured too. So they all come with SSD caching and performance tiering, allowing you to guarantee or trust in the performance of the devices. The other side of it is obviously the setup too. Now, Active Backup for Business, I know I've done it on webinars. You can go from in the box to doing a backup in 25 minutes. That's very good. However, with ActiveProtect, being everything pre-configured means that the drive configuration, the installation of the operating system, the setup is all achievable in less than 10 minutes. And if you don't believe us, we've actually got a quick video, which hopefully will be playing. There we go. And this is very quickly how quick it takes to install and set up your ActiveProtect device. Now, we have sped it up because it's we don't want to kind of sit through a number of config kind of loading screens. But if we end up, there we go. So we can see that actually in 9 minutes, it's gone from uninstalled to ready to do those backups. And I've actually tested it since taking this video and have gone and done a complete drive install all the way through to doing a backup in less than 8 minutes, which is really powerful for getting the systems up and running. Lastly, we also need to look at the maintenance aspects as well. So we've got our system procured, running. We then need to be able to maintain it. What happens if something does go wrong? Well, of course, we've got auto repair with spare hard drives. We've got BTRFS checksumming for 0 errors. And then also the ability to transfer into new devices should the entire system fail. So you've again got the kind of the trust, the peace of mind that the system will just maintain itself without too much hassle. And that all means that we're able to then do our enterprise grade backup, but available for all business scales. So we'll talk a little bit about costs now, because there is a cost implication with ActiveProtect, based on the license fee that is being introduced with this device. But again, using the Synology kind of mantra of keep it simple, we've got a hardware cost, which is upfront in year 1, and then only license-based fees after that, depending on the number of nodes in your cluster. So I'll mention it here that you pay a license per node in the cluster, but you get 3 free licenses free with the initial device. So you actually only need to pay for a 4th device and upwards. And when you compare this to other devices, other solutions out there on the market, you might have the hardware costs, any maintenance fees that go into that. Then you'll have device backup fees, software as a service license fees maybe, and also storage utilization fees. All of that is stripped out, and we keep it very, very nice and simple, meaning that, yes, as we said, 4th node and onwards, you have that license, but it all allows us to provide that hugely optimized solution with an end-to-end Synology solution. And when doing cost comparisons against other providers on the market, we can save 30 times the average cost per year. And so if we kind of wrap this all up very nicely, we'll go back to those 3 key ideologies that we've got. We've got our fast backup being taken quickly and being transferred onto the device fast as well. We've got our visibility, so we know what the system is doing, when the system is doing, and we've also got the availability of that data. So even if the entire network was encrypted with ransomware, we've got immutability to help allow us to get that data when we need it. Thank you all very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.